There are moments in life when the ground seems to disappear beneath our feet. Moments when we look around and all we see is scarcity, lack of resources, lack of strength, lack of hope. Moments when, like the widow of Zarephath, we feel that the little we have is not enough even for today, let alone tomorrow. But it is precisely in those moments, when human hope runs out, that God begins to act. The Bible, in 1 Kings 17:8-16, presents us with a powerful story. In the midst of a devastating drought, when the prophet Elijah was sent by God to the city of Zarephath, he found a widow gathering sticks. Upon seeing her, Elijah asked her for some water and a piece of bread. Her response reveals the despair of someone who had already given up. "As surely as the Lord your God lives, I have no bread, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little olive oil in a jug. I am gathering a few sticks to go and prepare it for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die." 1 Kings 17-12. She was at her breaking point. It was the end of the line. Nothing remained but a handful of flour, a drop of olive oil, and one last meal before death. But it was precisely at this point of despair that God chose to act. Elijah, moved by faith, said to her, "Do not be afraid. Go and do as you have said, but first make a small cake for me from it and bring it to me, and then make some for yourself and your son." 1 Kings 17:13. Humanly, this sounds illogical. How could someone with only a handful of flour share? How could someone on the verge of starvation feed another person first? But faith is not logical. It is supernatural. Faith invites us to look beyond what we see, to trust in what we do not understand, to give when everything within us screams to keep. And then, the miracle happened. The jar of flour did not run out, and the jug of oil did not fail, in accordance with the word of the Lord spoken through Elijah. 1 Kings 17:16. How many times have we also felt like that widow? We look at our circumstances and think, "I have nothing left." It's the end. Bills pile up, health weakens, relationships deteriorate, and doors seem closed. The feeling of failure and helplessness is so overwhelming that it seems impossible to believe anything can change. But God is an expert at acting. When all seems lost, He doesn't need abundance to perform a miracle. He only needs faith. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment saying, "Lord, I trust in you." Let this declaration be your act of faith today. Share this video with another woman who needs to remember that the oil hasn't run out yet. God did not ask the widow for what she did not have. He only asked her to do something with the little she had and to trust in Him. Similarly, God doesn't ask us to have everything figured out. He only asks us to let us place the little we have in His hands. The widow's faith sustained her, not just for one day, but throughout the entire drought. And this teaches us that genuine faith is not measured by the size of what we possess, but by trust in who God is. Often, God leads us into situations where only faith can sustain us. He allows the oil and the flour to run out, not to destroy us, but to teach us to depend on Him. It's easy to have faith when the pantry is full, when the salary is sufficient, and when everything is going well. But it is in the dark nights of the soul, when fear and doubt knock at the door, that faith is truly tested. The woman of Zarephath could have refused to obey. She could have said, "I can't help anyone. I'm the one who needs help." But she chose to believe. He chose to take the first step, even without seeing the path. And that's how the miracle begins. With a leap of faith in the midst of uncertainty, God honors those who put Him first, even when it seems irrational. The widow gave her last loaf of bread, and God gave her continuous provision. When we put the kingdom of God first, when we continue serving, helping, praying, and trusting, even without understanding, the Lord takes care of every detail in ways that surpass human logic. Perhaps you are reading this today feeling exactly like that widow. The oil of your hope is almost gone. The jar of flour of your faith seems empty. Perhaps you've said to yourself, "I don't know what to do anymore." You've tried everything, saving money, fighting for it, praying, seeking help, and nothing seems to work. It feels like God has fallen silent. But I want to tell you, God has not forgotten you. The same God who sent Elijah to the widow's house has sent this message to you today. He is saying, "Do not be afraid." What seems like the end may actually be the perfect setting for a miracle to begin. We all go through periods when it feels like we've lost everything. Some have lost their homes, cars, jobs, opportunities. Some have seen their dreams crumble and doors close one by one. But the truth is that these losses do not define our destiny. They are just temporary inconveniences, as the text says, because everything that is lost can be restored. But faith, must remain. The widow of Zarephath did not receive the miracle before acting, she received it after. The miracle was not a reward for perfect faith, but a response to obedience. God did not promise a full supply, He promised daily provision. And this is important. The oil and flour didn't all overflow at once. They never lacked, there was enough each day. It's the same with us. God sometimes doesn't show us the whole path, just the next step. He doesn't fill the barn all at once, but He provides our daily bread. And it is in this divine rhythm that we learn to live by faith and not by sight. There are times when an unexpected check arrives. Other times the miracle comes in a different form, a door that opens, a friendship that blossoms, an idea that thrives, an inner strength that is reborn. What seems like a coincidence is, in fact, divine intervention, because the universe, as the message says, is in favor of those who align themselves with faith, action, and perseverance. Faith is not just believing, it is act according to what one believes. The widow acted, Elijah acted, and the miracle happened. Often we become paralyzed by pain, waiting for something to change around us. But God calls us to, let's move first, even when scared, even when tired, even when they don't understand. You may not be able to change everything right now, but you can take a step. Send a resume, say a prayer, reach out to someone, restart a plan, forgive someone. These small acts done in faith open the way for God's supernatural power. God does not bless giving up, He blesses persistence. When you continue to believe, even when nothing seems to work, you are declaring to the spiritual world, I trust in God more than in circumstances. And that confidence is powerful. That's what moves heaven and earth in your favor. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel to continue receiving messages that strengthen your faith. Remember, God still performs miracles, and the next one could happen in your home. You may not see it now, but something is being prepared by God. The widow didn't know that, while she was walking to prepare her last meal, the prophet Elijah was also being guided by God, even her. Before the need even arose, the provision was already on its way. The same thing happens to you. Before the bill came due, before the diagnosis arrived, before fear took over, God already had a plan. Nothing escapes the Lord's control. He is working silently behind the scenes of your life, orchestrating something much greater than you can imagine. The widow of Zarephath not only survived, she became witness to the power of God. And the same thing could happen to you. God uses crises to reveal His glory. The scarcity that afflicts you today can be transformed into a story that will inspire other women, just as your faith can sustain those who are about to crumble. Perhaps God is allowing you to go through this desert not to punish you, but to help you. Position. He wants others to learn the value of trusting, serving, and waiting through His story. When you choose to trust in the midst of pain, you are saying to the world, I know in whom I have believed. Today, the Lord tells you the same thing He told that woman. Do not be afraid. Not be. The oil of hope still exists. The flower of faith is still there, even if it seems scarce. Put what you have, your time, your heart, your dreams, your little bit, in God's hands, and He will multiply it. Don't give up now. What seems like the end today is, in fact, the beginning of a new season. Just as the widow saw the miracle every day, you too will see God's faithfulness in every detail. He believed, the same God who sustained the widow of Zarephath is the same God who sustains you today. And He also ensures that the flour does not run out and the oil does not fail, in the pantry, in the soul, and in the heart. The widow of Zarephath's faith was not a comfortable faith. It was a faith proven by scarcity. It was the faith of someone who looked at an empty pot and still chose to believe. It was the faith of someone who decided to obey God's voice even when their heart was broken. The power of this story lies not only in the miracle of multiplication, but in that woman's willingness to trust in God without guarantees. Before witnessing the miracle, she decided to obey. Before experiencing abundance, she gave up the little he had. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. The widow's faith was exactly that, an unwavering trust in the promises of a God she barely knew, but who revealed Himself as provider. Zarephath was a Gentile city, that is, the widow wasn't even part of the people of Israel, and yet God chose her to experience one of the most extraordinary miracles in the Bible. This teaches us something powerful. God's love and provision, they have no borders. God doesn't look at status, social position, or where we are. He looks at the heart willing to believe. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry. Psalm 34:15. This woman, who seemed forgotten, was seen by God. While the world around her was withering from hunger, the Lord saw her heart and sent the prophet Elijah with a word that would change everything. Sometimes the miracle we hope for comes. Disguised as a challenge, Elijah didn't arrive carrying a basket of food. He arrived asking what little she had. This is how God works. He invites us to participate in the miracle, toto place in his hands that which seems insignificant. Give me a small cake first. 1 Kings 17:13. True faith is experiencing God in practice. It's saying, Lord, I don't have much, but the little I have, I give to you. And when we do that, something supernatural happens. The little we have in our hands becomes much is in God's hands. The widow's faith was not static. She acted. She didn't just stand there waiting for a miracle to fall from the sky. She took action. Genuine faith pushes us out of fear, calls us to action, and teaches us to walk, even when we don't know what the next step is. So also faith, if it does not have works, is dead in itself. James 2:17. She went out, prepared the bread, and served the prophet. And it was in that simple act of obedience that the supernatural manifested itself. Often we expect God to move first, but he invites us to take the first step. God could have filled the pot with flour instantly, but he chose to feed that household daily, so that the widow's faith might grow day by day. The jar of flour did not run out, and the jug of oil did not fail, in accordance with the word of the Lord. 1 Kings 17:16. The miracle was not an isolated event. It was a daily process. And that's how God works with us. He doesn't just solve the problem, it transforms us through it. There is something profoundly human in this woman's story. She was afraid. She had doubts. She was tired. But even with a heavy heart, she didn't let fear paralyze her. That's faith, moving forward even when trembling inside. How many times have we faced the same dilemma? To trust or to give up? To believe or to surrender to the pain? The widow chose to believe, and that choice changed everything. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41:10. God never promised that we wouldn't face difficult times, but he did promise, be with us in all of them. The widow of Zarephath experienced this firsthand. The God who seemed distant became present in your home, present in your bread, present in your hope. Dear woman of faith, perhaps today you feel like the widow of Zarephath, with the feeling that there is no way out, that the oil has run out, that the flour has run out. But God wants to use precisely that little bit to reveal his power in your life. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. Psalm 37:5. The Lord is saying, I am still the same. I still perform miracles. I still take care of my children. The widow handed over what she had and received much more than I expected: divine provision, purpose, and presence. And the same God who took care of Harris, taking care of you. He will not allow the essentials to be lacking. He will not let the fire of faith go out. It may seem like little, but even a little in the hands of the Almighty is miracle seed. The widow's faith was not an isolated incident. It was the beginning of a journey. Every morning, when she saw the flour and oil renewed, she remembered, the Lord is faithful. This is the invitation God extends to you today. Live by faith, not by fear. Trust, even when there is no visible sign. Serve, even when it seems unfair. And wait, even when time takes a long time, because God is never late. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4. Today, God is calling you to look again at your pot and your jar. They may seem empty, but the olive oil is still there, silent, waiting for an act of faith to flow. Like the widow of Zarephath, you too are called to be an instrument of miracles, not just a recipient of it. Great is your faith, let it be done for you as you wish. Matthew 15:28. It's not the size of your resources that defines what God can do, it's the size of your faith. Acknowledge, trust, move forward. God is still the same yesterday, today, and forever. The oil of divine provision never dries for those who choose to believe. The widow of Zarephath reminds us, when all else fails, faith begins. And where faith begins, the impossible becomes reality. Perhaps you are living through a time of scarcity, but God is about to multiply your oil. Comment, "I believe in my miracle," and declare that word over your life today. Send this video to 3 women of faith you love, and let's spread hope together. Until our next video.